Chapter 9. I finished 1987 with a bang. I win my first tournament as a pro in Itaparica, Brazil. All the more impressive because I do it before a crowd of initially hostile Brazilians. After I beat their top player, Luiz Matar, the fans don't seem to hold a grudge. In fact, they make me an honorary Brazilian. They rush the court, hoist me on their shoulders, throw me in the air. Many have come to the arena straight from the beach. They're slathered with cocoa butter, and consequently so am I. Women in bikinis and thongs cover me with kisses. Music plays, people dance. Someone hands me a bottle of champagne and tells me to spray it into the crowd. The carnival atmosphere is the perfect complement to my inner Mardi Gras. I finally broke through. I won 5 matches in a row. To win a slam, I realize with some alarm, I'll need to win 7. A man hands me the winner's check. I have to look twice at the number, in the amount of $90,000. With the check still folded in my jeans pocket, I stand 2 days later in my father's living room and employ a bit of remedial psychology. "Pops," I say, "how much do you think I'm going to make next year?" "Ho, ho," he says, beaming. "Millions." "Good. Then you won't mind if I buy a car." He frowns. Checkmate. I know just the kind I want, a white Corvette with all the extras. My father insists that he and my mother go with me to the dealership to make sure the salesman doesn't screw me. I can't say no. My father is my landlord and keeper. I no longer live full-time at the Bollettieri Academy, so once again I live under my father's roof, and thus under his control. I'm traveling the world, making good money, winning a measure of fame, and yet my old man essentially keeps me on an allowance. It's inappropriate, but hell, my whole life is inappropriate. I'm only 17, not ready to live on my own, barely ready to stand alone on a tennis court. And yet, I was just in Rio, holding a girl in a thong with one hand and a $90,000 check with the other. I'm an adolescent who's seen too much, a man-child without a checking account. At the car dealership, my father goes back and forth with the salesman, and the negotiation quickly turns contentious. Why am I not surprised? Every time my father makes a new offer, the salesman walks off to consult his manager. My father clenches and unclenches his fists. The salesman and my father eventually agree on a price. I'm seconds from owning my dream car. My father puts on his glasses, gives the paperwork a last look. He runs his finger down the itemized list of charges. "Wait, what's this? A charge for $49.99? Small fee for the paperwork," the salesman says. "Ain't my fucking paper. That's your fucking paper. Pay for your own fucking paper." The salesman doesn't care for my father's tone. Hard words are exchanged. My father gets that look in his eye, the same look he had before dropping the trucker. Just the sight of all these cars is giving him the old road rage. "Pops, the car costs $37,000, and you're flipping out about $50 fee? They're screwing you, Andre. They're screwing me. The world is trying to screw me." He storms out of the salesman's office and into the main showroom, where the managers sit along a high counter. He screams at them, "You think you're safe back here? You think you're safe behind that counter? Why don't you come out from behind there?" His dukes are up. He's ready to fight 5 men at once. My mother puts an arm around me and says the best thing we can do now is go outside and wait. We stand on the sidewalk and watch my father's tirade through the plate glass window of the dealership. He's pounding the desk. He's waving his hands. It's like watching a terrible silent movie. I'm mortified, but also slightly envious. I wish I possessed some of my father's rage. I wish I could tap into it during tough matches. I wonder what I could do in tennis if I could access that rage and aim it across the net. Instead, whatever rage I have, I turn on myself. "Mom," I ask, "how do you take it? All these years?" "Oh," she says, "I don't know. He hasn't gone to jail yet, and nobody's killed him yet. I think we're pretty lucky, all things considered. Hopefully we'll get through this incident without either of those two things happening and move on." Along with my father's rage, I wish I had a fraction of my mother's calm. Philly and I go back to the dealership the next day. The salesman hands me the keys to my new Corvette, but treats me with pity. He says I'm nothing like my father, and though he means it as a compliment, I feel vaguely offended. Driving home, the thrill of my new Corvette is dampened. I tell Philly that things are going to be different from now on. Weaving in and out of traffic, gunning the engine, I tell him. The time has come. I need to take control of my money. I need to take control of my fucking life. I'm running out of steam in long matches. And for me, every match is long, because my serve is average. I can't serve my way out of trouble. I get no easy points off my serve, so every opponent takes me the full 12 rounds. My knowledge of the game is improving, but my body is breaking down. I'm skinny, brittle, and my legs give out quickly, followed in short order by my nerve. I tell Nick that I'm not fit enough to compete with the best in the world. He agrees. Legs are everything, he says. I find a trainer in Vegas, a retired military colonel named Lenny. Tough as burlap, Lenny curses like a sailor and walks like a pirate, the result of being shot in a long-ago war he doesn't like to talk about. After 1 hour with Lenny, I wish someone would shoot me. Few things give Lenny more pleasure than abusing me and hurling obscenities at me in the process. In December 1987, the desert turns unseasonably cold. The blackjack dealers wear Santa hats. The palm trees are strung with lights. The hookers on the strip wear Christmas ornaments for earrings. I tell Perry I can't wait for this new year. I feel strong. I feel as if I'm starting to get tennis. I win the tournament of 1988 in Memphis, and the ball sounds alive as it leaves my racket. I'm growing into my forehand. I'm hitting the ball through opponents. Each one turns to me with a look that says, "Where the hell did that come from?" I notice something on the faces of fans, too. The way they watch me and ask for my autograph, the way they scream as I enter an arena, makes me uncomfortable, but also satisfies something deep inside me, some hidden craving I didn't know was there. I'm shy, but I like attention. I cringe when fans start dressing like me, but I also dig it. Dressing like me in 1988 means wearing denim shorts. They're my signature. They're synonymous with me, mentioned in every article and profile. Oddly, I didn't choose to wear them. They chose me. It was 1987 in Portland, Oregon. I was playing the Nike International Challenge, and Nike reps invited me to a hotel suite to show me the latest demos and clothing samples. McEnroe was there, and of course he was given first choice. He held up a pair of denim shorts and said, "What the fuck are these?" My eyes got big. I licked my lips and thought, whoa, those are cool. If you don't want those, Mac, I've got dibs. The moment Mac set them aside, I swooped them up. Now I wear them at all my matches, as do countless fans. Sports writers murder me for it. They say I'm trying to stand out. In fact, as with my mohawk, I'm trying to hide. They say I'm trying to change the game. In fact, I'm trying to prevent the game from changing me. They call me a rebel, but I have no interest in being a rebel. I'm only conducting an everyday, run-of-the-mill teenage rebellion. Subtle distinctions, but important. At heart, I'm doing nothing more than being myself, and since I don't know who that is, my attempts to figure it out are scattershot and awkward, and of course contradictory. I'm doing nothing more than I did at the Bollettieri Academy, bucking authority, experimenting with identity, sending a message to my father, thrashing against the lack of choice in my life, but I'm doing it on a grander stage. Whatever I'm doing, for whatever reasons, it strikes a chord. I'm routinely called the savior of American tennis, whatever that means. I think it has to do with the atmosphere at my matches. Besides wearing my outfits, fans come sporting my hairdo. I see my mullet on men and women. It looks better on the women. I'm flattered by the imitators, embarrassed, thoroughly confused. I can't imagine all these people trying to be like Andre Agassi, since I don't want to be Andre Agassi. Now and then I start to explain this in an interview, but it never comes out right. I try to be funny, and it falls flat or it offends someone. I try to be profound, and I hear myself making no sense. So I stop, fall back on pat answers and platitudes, tell journalists what they seem to want to hear. It's the best I can do. If I can't understand my motivations and demons, how can I hope to explain them to journalists on deadline? To make matters worse, journalists write down exactly what I say while I'm saying it, word for word, as if this represented the literal truth. I want to tell them, hold it, don't write that down. I'm only thinking out loud here. You're asking about the subject I understand least, me. Let me edit myself, contradict myself, but there isn't time. They need black and white answers, good and evil, simple plot lines in 700 words, and then they're on to the next thing. If I had time, if I were more self-aware, I would tell journalists that I'm trying to figure out who I am. But in the meantime, I have a pretty good idea of who I'm not. I'm not my clothes. I'm certainly not my game. I'm not anything that public thinks I am. I'm not a showman simply because I came from Vegas and wear loud clothes. I'm not an enfant terrible, a phrase that appears in every article about me. I think you can't be something you can't pronounce. And for heaven's sake, I'm not a punk rocker. I listen to soft, cheesy pop like Barry Manilow and Richard Marx. Of course, the key to my identity, the thing I know about myself but can't bring myself to tell journalists, is that I'm losing my hair. I wear it long and fluffy to conceal its rapid departure. Only Philly and Perry know, because they're fellow sufferers. In fact, Philly recently flew to New York to meet with an owner of Hair Club for Men to buy himself a few toupees. He's finally given up on the headbands. He phones to tell me about the astonishing variety of toupees the Hair Club offers. It's a hair smorgasbord, he says. It's like the salad bar at Sizzler, only all hair. I ask him to pick up one for me. Every morning I find a little more of my identity on my pillow, in my sink, in my drain. I ask myself, you're going to wear a hairpiece? During tournaments? I answer, what choice do I have? At Indian Wells in February 1988, I blaze my way to the semis, where I meet Boris Becker from West Germany, the most famous tennis player in the world. He cuts an imposing figure, with a shock of hair the color of a new penny and legs as wide as my waist. I catch him at the peak of his powers, but win the first set. Then I lose the next two, including a hard, tough third. We walk off the court, glowering at each other like rattling bulls. I promise myself I won't lose to him the next time we meet. In March, at Key Biscayne, I face an old schoolmate from the Bolletary Academy, Aaron Crickstein. We're often compared to each other because of our connection with Nick and our precocious skills. I'm up 2-0 and then wear out. Crickstein wins the next 2 sets. As the 5th set starts, I'm cramping. I'm still not where I need to be, physically, to reach the next level. I lose. I go to Isle of Palms near Charleston and win my 3rd tournament. In the middle of the tournament, I turn 18. The tournament director rolls a cake out to center court, and everyone sings. I've never liked birthdays. No one ever took note of my birthday when I was growing up, but this feels different. I'm legal, everyone keeps saying. In the eyes of the law, you're a grown-up. Then the law is an ass. I go to New York City, the Tournament of Champions, a significant milestone because it's a clash of the top players in the world. Once more, I square off against Chang, who's developed a bad habit since we last met. Every time he beats someone, he points to the sky. He thanks God, credits God for the win, which offends me. That God should take sides in a tennis match, that God should side against me, that God should be in Chang's box, feels ludicrous and insulting. I beat Chang and savor every blasphemous stroke. Then I take revenge on Krickstein. In the final, I face Slobodan Zivajinovic, a Serb better known for his doubles play. I beat him in straight sets. I'm winning more often. I should be happy. Instead, I'm uptight because it's over. I've enjoyed a triumphant hardcourt season. My body wants to keep playing on hard courts, but clay season is starting. The sudden switch from one surface to another changes everything. Clay is a different game. Thus, your game must become different, and so must your body. Instead of sprinting from side to side, stopping short and starting, you must slide and lean and dance. Familiar muscles now play supporting roles. Dormant muscles dominate. It's painful enough, under the best of circumstances, that I don't know who I am. To suddenly become a different person, a clay person, adds another degree of frustration and anxiety. A friend tells me that the 4 surfaces in tennis are like the 4 seasons. Each asks something different of you. Each bestows different gifts and exacts different costs. Each radically alters your outlook, remakes you on a molecular level. All 3 rounds of the Italian Open in May 1988, I'm no longer Andre Agassi, and I'm no longer in the tournament. I go to the 1988 French Open expecting more of the same. Walking into the locker room at Roland Garros, I see all the clay experts leaning against the walls, leering. Dirt rats, Nick calls them. They've been here for months, practicing, waiting for the rest of us to finish hard courts and fly into their clay lair. Disorienting as the new surface is, Paris itself is more of a shock to the system. The city has all the same logistical problems of New York and London, the large crowds and cultural anomalies, but with an added language barrier. Also, the presence of dogs in restaurants unsettles me. The first time I walk into a cafe on the Champs-Élysées, a dog raises its leg and unleashes a stream of pee against the table next to mine. Roland Garros provides no escape from this strangeness. It's the only place I've ever played that reeks of cigars and pipes. While I'm serving, at a critical point in the match, a finger of pipe smoke curls under my nose. I want to find the person smoking that pipe and admonish him, and yet I don't want to find that person because I can't imagine what sort of gnarled hobbit is sitting in an outdoor tennis match puffing on a pipe. Despite my unease, I managed to beat my first 3 opponents. I even beat the great clay master Guillermo Perez Roldan in the quarterfinal. In the semis, I run into Mats Wilander. He's ranked number 3 in the world, but to my mind, he's the player of the tournament. When one of his matches is on TV, I stop whatever I'm doing and watch. He's on his way to an astounding year. He's already won the Australian Open and is the favorite to win this tournament. I managed to take him to a 5th set, then lose 6-0, cramping badly. I remind Nick that I'm skipping Wimbledon. I say, why switch to grass and expand all that energy? Let's take a month off, rest, get ready for the hard courts of summer. He's more than happy not to go to London. He doesn't like Wimbledon any more than I do. Besides, he wants to hurry back to the U.S. and find me a better trainer. Nick hires a Chilean strongman named Pat, who never asks me to do anything he's not willing to do himself, which I respect. But Pat also has a habit of spitting on me when he talks and leaning over me while I'm lifting weights, drizzling sweat on my face. I feel as if I should show up for Pat's workout sessions in a plastic poncho. The mainstay of Pat's training regimen is a brutal daily run-up and down a hill outside Vegas. The hill is remote and sun-baked and gets hotter as you near the top, as if it's an active volcano. It's also an hour from my father's house, which seems unnecessarily far. Nothing like driving to Reno for a run. Pat insists, however, that this hill is the answer to all my physical problems. When we get to the base and pile out of the car, he starts running straight up and orders me to follow. Within minutes, I'm holding my side, sweat rolling off me. By the time we reach the summit, I can't breathe. According to Pat, this is good. This is healthy. A battered truck appears one day as Pat and I crest the hill. An ancient Native American man climbs out. He comes toward us with a pole. If he wants to kill me, I won't be able to fend him off because I can't lift my arms. And I won't be able to run away because I can't draw breath. The man asks, "What are you doing here?" "We're training." "What are you doing here?" "Catching me some rattlesnakes." "Rattlesnakes? There are rattlesnakes out here? There's training out here?" When I stop laughing, the Indian says, more or less, that I must have been born with a horseshoe up my ass, because this is Rattlesnake fucking Hill. He catches 12 rattlers every day up on this hill, and he expects to catch 12 more this morning. It's a flat-out miracle that I haven't stepped on one, big and plump and ready to strike. I look at Pat and feel an urge to spit on him. In July, I go to Argentina as one of the youngest men ever to play for the U.S. Davis Cup team. I play well against Martin Haita from Argentina, and the crowd gives me its grudging respect. I'm leading 2-0, ahead 4-0 in the third, waiting for Haita's serve. I'm hunched against the cold because it's the dead of winter in Argentina. The temperature must be 30 degrees. Haita hits a let serve, then hits a bending, unreturnable serve that I reach up and catch with my hand. A riot breaks out. The crowd thinks I'm trying to show up their countryman, disrespecting him. They boo me for several minutes. The next day's newspapers kill me. Rather than defend myself, I react with truculence. I say, I've always wanted to do something like that. The truth is, I was just cold and not thinking. I was being stupid, not cocky. My reputation takes a major hit. The crowd at Stratton Mountain welcomes me days later, however, like a prodigal. I play to please them. I play to thank them for banishing the memory of Argentina. Something about these people, these emerald mountains, this Vermont air. I win the tournament. I wake soon after to discover that I'm number 4 in the world. But I'm too spent to celebrate. Between Pat and Davis Cup and the grind of the tour, I'm sleeping 12 hours a night. I fly to New York in the late summer to play a minor tournament in New Jersey, a tune-up for the 1988 U.S. Open. I reach the final and face Tarango. I beat him soundly, a delicious victory, because I can still close my eyes and see Tarango cheating me when I was 8. My first loss, I'll never forget. Each time I hit a winner, I think, fuck you, Jeff. Fuck you. At the U.S. Open, I reach the quarters. I'm due to face Jimmy Connors. Before the match, I approach him meekly in the locker room and remind him that we once met. In Las Vegas? I was 4. You were playing the Caesar's Palace? We hit some balls together? Nope, he says. Oh, well, actually, we met again several times when I was 7. I used to deliver rackets to you. My father strung your rackets whenever you came to town, and I'd bring them to you at your favorite restaurant on the Strip. Nope, he says again, then lies back on a bench and pulls a long white towel over his legs and closes his eyes. Dismissed. This jibes with everything I've heard about Connors from other players. Asshole, they say. Rude, condescending, egomaniac prick. But I thought he'd treat me differently. I thought he'd show me some love, given our long-time connection. Just for that, I tell Perry, I'm beating this guy in 3 easy sets, and he's going to win no more than 9 games. The crowd is pulling for Connors. It's the opposite of Stratton. Here, I'm cast as the bad guy. I'm the impertinent upstart who dares to oppose the older statesman. The crowd wants Connors to defy the odds and father time, and I'm standing in the way of that dream scenario. Each time they cheer, I think, do they realize what this guy is like in the locker room? Do they know what his peers say about him? Do they have any concept of how he responds to a friendly hello? I'm cruising, winning easily, when a man in the upper bleachers calls out, "Come on, Jimmy, he's a punk. You're a legend." The words hang in midair for a moment, bigger and louder than the Goodyear blimp overhead, and then 20,000 fans guffaw. Connors cracks a sly smile, nods, and hits a ball as a souvenir to the man who yelled. Now the crowd erupts, a standing ovation. Running on adrenaline and anger, I punk the legend in the final set, 6-1. After the match, I tell reporters about my pre-match prediction, and they tell Connors. He says, "I enjoy playing guys who could be my children. Maybe he's one of them. I spent a lot of time in Vegas." In the semis, I lose again to Lindell. I take him to a fourth set, but he's too strong. Trying to wear him out, I wear myself out. Despite the best efforts of Limping Lenny and Pat the Spitting Chilean, I'm not able to stay with a man of Lindell's caliber. I tell myself that when I get back to Vegas, the search must continue for someone, anyone, who can make me battle ready. But no one can make me ready for the battle with the media, because it's not really a battle, it's a massacre. Each day brings another anti-Agassi screed in another magazine or newspaper, a dig from a fellow player, a diatribe from a sports writer, a fresh piece of libel served up as analysis. I'm a punk, I'm a clown, I'm a fraud, I'm a fluke. I have a high ranking because of a conspiracy, a cabal of networks and teenagers. I don't rate the attention I get because I haven't won a slam. Millions of fans like me, apparently. I get potato sacks full of fan mail, including naked pictures of women with their phone numbers scrawled along the margin. And yet each day I'm vilified because of my look, because of my behavior, because of no reason at all. I absorb the role of villain, rebel, accept it, grow into it. The role seems like part of my job, so I play it. Before long, however, I'm being typecast. I'm to be the villain rebel forever in every match and every tournament. I turn to Perry. I fly back east and visit him for a weekend. He's studying business at Georgetown. We go out for big dinners, and he takes me to his favorite local bar, the Tombs, and over beers he does what Perry has always done. He reshapes my anguish, makes it more logical and articulate. If I'm a returner, he's a reworder. First, he redefines the problem as a negotiation between me and the world. Then he clarifies the terms of the negotiation. He grants that it's horrible to be a sensitive person who's publicly excoriated every day, but he insists it's only temporary. There's a time limit to this torture. Things will get better, he says, the moment I start to win Grand Slams. Win? What's the point? Why should winning change people's minds about me? Win or lose, I'll still be the same person. That's why I need to win? To shut people up? To satisfy a bunch of sports writers and reporters who don't know me? Those are the terms of this negotiation? Philly sees that I'm suffering, that I'm searching. He's searching too. He's been searching all his life, and recently he's stepped up the search. He tells me he's been going to church, or a kind of church, in an office complex on the west side of Vegas. It's non-denominational, he says, and the pastor is different. He drags me to the church, and I have to admit, he's right. The pastor, John Parenti, is different. He wears jeans, a t-shirt, and he has long, sandy brown hair. He's more surfer than pastor. He's unconventional, which I respect. He's, no other way to say it, a rebel. I also like his prominent aquiline nose, his sad canine eyes. Above all, I like the casual vibe of his service. He simplifies the Bible. No ego, no dogma, just common sense and clear thinking. Parenti is so casual, he doesn't want to be called Pastor Parenti. He insists we call him JP. He says he wants his church to feel unlike a church. He wants it to feel like a home where friends gather. He doesn't have any answers, he says. He just happens to have read the Bible a few dozen times, front to back, and he has some observations to share. I think he has more answers than he's letting on, and I need answers. I consider myself a Christian, but JP's church is the first one where I've felt truly close to God. I attend with Philly every week. We time our arrival so that we walk in just as JP starts talking, and we always sit in the back, slouch low, so we don't get recognized. One Sunday, Philly says he wants to meet JP. I hang back. Part of me would like to meet JP too, but part of me is wary of strangers. I've always been shy, but the recent avalanche of bad press has made me borderline paranoid. Days later, I'm driving around Vegas, feeling gutted after reading the latest attacks on me. I find myself parked outside JP's church. It's late, all the lights are off, except one. I peer in the window. A secretary is doing some paperwork. I knock at the door and tell the woman I need to speak with JP. She says he's at home. She doesn't say where you should be. With a shaky voice, I ask if she could please phone him. I really need to talk to him. To somebody. She dials JP and hands me the receiver. "Hello," he says. "Hi, yes. You don't know me. My name is Andre Agassi. I'm a tennis player and, well, it's just, I know you. I've seen you in church the last 6 months. I recognized you, of course. I just didn't want to bother you." I thank him for his discretion, for respecting my privacy. I haven't been getting that kind of respect lately, I say. "Look, I wonder if we could spend some time together. Talk." "When? Now?" "Oh, well, I guess I could come down to the office and meet you. With all due respect, can I come to wherever you are? I have a fast car, and I think I can get there faster than you could get here." He pauses. "Okay," he says. I'm there in 13 minutes. He meets me on his doorstep. "Thanks for agreeing to see me. I feel like I have nowhere else to turn." "What is it you need?" "I wonder if we can just, get to know each other." He smiles. "Listen," he says, "I don't do father figure real well." I nod, laugh at myself. I say, right. But maybe you could give me some assignments, life assignments, reading assignments, like a mentor? Yeah. I don't do mentor real well either. Oh. Talking, listening, fellowship, those things I can do. I frown. "Look," JP says, "my life is as screwed up as the next guy's, maybe more. I can't offer much in the way of shepherding. I'm not that kind of pastor. If you're looking for advice, I'm sorry. If you're looking for a friend, that we can do, maybe." I nod. He holds open the door, asks if I'd like to come in, but I ask if he'd like to go for a drive. I think better when I drive. He cranes his neck and sees my white Corvette. It looks like a small private plane parked in his driveway. The color drains a bit from his face. I drive JP all over Vegas, up and down the Strip, and then into the mountains that circle the town. I show him what the vet can do, open up the engine on a lonely stretch of highway, then open up myself. I tell him my story in a ragged and disorderly fashion, and he has Perry's knack for saying it all back to me, artfully reworded. He understands my contradictions and reconciles a few of them. "You're a kid who still lives with his parents," he says, "but you're known around the planet. That's gotta be hard. You're trying to express yourself freely and creatively and artistically, and you're slammed at every turn. That's very hard." I tell him about the knock on me, that I've snuck up on my high ranking, that I've never beaten anyone good, that I've been lucky. Horseshoe up my ass. He says I'm experiencing backlash and never even got to enjoy the lash. I laugh. He says it must be bizarre to have strangers think they know me and love me beyond reason, while others think they know me and resent me beyond reason, all while I'm a relative stranger to myself. What makes it perverse, I tell him, is that it all revolves around tennis, and I hate tennis. Right, sure, but you don't actually hate tennis. Yes, I do. I talk about my father. I tell JP about the yelling, the pressure, the rage, the abandonment. JP gets a funny look on his face. "You do realize, don't you, that God isn't anything like your father? You know that, don't you?" I almost drive the Corvette into the shoulder. God, he says, is the opposite of your father. God isn't mad at you all the time. God isn't yelling in your ear, harping on your imperfections. That voice you hear all the time, that angry voice, that's not God. That's still your father. I turn to him. Do me a favor. Say that again. He does, word for word. Say it once more. He does. I thank him. I ask about his own life. He tells me that he hates what he does. He can't abide being a pastor. He no longer wants to be responsible for people's souls. It's a round-the-clock job, he says, and it leaves him no time for reading and reflection. I wonder if this is a slight jab at me. He's also hounded by death threats. Prostitutes and drug pushers come to his church and reform, and then their pimps and junkies and families who've depended on that stream of income blame JP. What do you think you'd like to do instead? Actually, I'm a songwriter, a composer. I'd like to make music for a living. He says he's written a song, When God Ran. That's a huge hit on the Christian charts. He sings a few bars. He has a nice voice and the song is moving. I tell him that if he wants it bad enough and works hard enough, he'll succeed. When I start talking like a motivational speaker, I know I'm tired. I look at my watch, 3 a.m. Wow, I say, stifling a yawn. If you don't mind, can you just drop me off at my parents' house? I live right up here on the corner, and I'm exhausted. I can't drive another minute. Take my car, take yourself home, bring it back to me when you can. I don't want to take your car. Why not? Fun car. Goes like the wind. I see that, but what if I wreck it? If you wreck it, as long as you're okay, I would laugh. I don't give a shit about the car. How long do you want me to... when should I bring it back? Whenever. He brings it back the next day. Driving to church in this thing was awkward enough, he says, tossing me the keys. But, Andre, I officiate at funerals. You cannot drive up to a funeral in a white Corvette. I invite JP to Munich for Davis Cup. I look forward to Davis Cup because it's not about me. It's about country. I imagine it's as close as I'll ever get to playing on a team, so I expect the trip to be a pleasant diversion, the matches to be easy, and I want to share the experience with my new friend. Early on, I find myself pitted against Becker, who's attained godlike status in West Germany. The fans are bringing down the house, 12,000 Germans cheering his every swing, booing me, and yet I'm unfazed because I'm in a zone. Maybe not the zone, but my zone. I can't miss. Also, I promised myself months ago that I'd never again lose to Becker, and I'm making good on that promise. I jump out to a 2-set lead. JP and Philly and Nick are the only people cheering for me, and I can hear them. A fine day in Munich. Then I lose my concentration, followed by my confidence. I drop a game and head for my chair during the changeover, discouraged. Suddenly, several German officials are grabbing at me. They're calling me back onto the court. The game isn't over. Come back, Mr. Agassi, come back! Becker giggles. The audience roars with laughter. I walk back onto the court, feeling my eyes throb. Once again, I'm at the Bolletary Academy, being humiliated by Nick in front of the other kids. I have enough trouble being laughed at the press, but I can't handle being laughed at in person. I lose the game. I lose the match. Showered, climbing into a car outside the arena, I ignore JP and turn to Nick and Philly. I tell them, the first person who talks to me about tennis is fired. I sit on the balcony of my Munich hotel room, alone, staring out over the city. Without thinking, I begin lighting things on fire. Paper, clothes, shoes. For years, this has been one of my favorite ways of coping with extreme stress. I don't do it consciously. An impulse comes over me, and I reach for the matches. Just as I've got a small bonfire going, JP appears. He watches, then calmly adds a piece of hotel stationery to my bonfire, then a napkin. I add the room service menu. We feed the bonfire for 15 minutes, neither of us saying a word. As the last flame dies down, he asks, "Do you want to go for a walk?" We wind our way through the beer gardens of downtown Munich. Everywhere we look, people are being boisterous, festive. They're drinking from 1-liter tankards, singing and laughing. The laughter gives me the shakes. We come to a large stone bridge with a cobblestone walkway. We cross. Far below is a rushing river. At the apex of the bridge, we stop. No one is around. The singing and laughter have subsided. We hear nothing but the rushing water. I stare into the river and ask JP, what if I'm no good? What if today wasn't a bad day, but my best day? I'm always making excuses when I lose. I could have beaten him if such and such, if I'd wanted it, if I'd had my A game, if I'd gotten the calls. But what if I'm playing my best, and I care, and I want it, and I'm still not the best in the world? Well, what if? I think I'd rather die. I lean against the railing, sobbing. JP has the decency, the wisdom, to say and do nothing. He knows there's nothing to say, nothing to do, but to wait for this fire to burn out. I face Karl U. Stieb, another German, the following afternoon. Spent, physically and emotionally, I play Stieb exactly the wrong way. Yes, I'm attacking his backhand, which is his weakest shot, but I'm doing it with pace. If I were to give him no pace, he'd have to generate his own, and his backhand would be much weaker. His greatest flaw would be on display. Using my pace, however, he can hit a low slice that stays down on this fast surface. I'm making him better than he is, all because I'm trying to hit bigger than I need to, trying to be perfect. With a cordial smile, Steve accepts my gifts, settling into his legs and his Agassi augmented backhand, having a marvelous time. Later, the captain of the Davis Cup team accuses me of tanking, as does a prominent sports writer. Part of the problem with my game in 1989 is my racket. I've always used a Prince, but Nick has convinced me to sign with a new company, Dane. Why? Because Nick's got money troubles, and for delivering me a Dane, he gets a lucrative contract for himself. Nick, I tell him, I love my Prince. You could play with a broomstick, he says. It wouldn't matter. Now, with the Dane, I feel as if I am playing with a broomstick. I feel as if I'm playing left-handed, as if I've suffered a brain injury. Everything is slightly off. The ball doesn't listen to me. The ball doesn't do what I say. I'm in New York, hanging out with JP. It's well after midnight. We're sitting in a seedy deli with garish fluorescent lights and loud countermen arguing in several Eastern European languages. We're each having a cup of coffee, and I'm holding my head in my hands, telling JP over and over, when I hit the ball with this new racket, I don't know where it's going. You'll find a solution, JP says. How? What? I don't know, but you will. This is a momentary crisis, Andre, one of the many. As sure as we're sitting here, there will be others, bigger, smaller, and everything in between. Treat this crisis as practice for the next crisis. And then the crisis is resolved during a practice. Days later, I'm in Florida, hitting at the Bollettieri Academy, and someone hands me a new Prince. I hit 3 balls, just 3, and it's something like a religious experience. Every ball goes like a laser to the spot where I want it to go. The court opens before me like Xanadu. I don't care about any deals, I tell Nick. I can't sacrifice my life to a deal. I'll handle it, he says. He doctors a Prince racket, stencils it to look like a Dane, and I cruise to several easy victories at Indian Wells. I lose in the quarters, but I don't care because I have my racket back, my game back. The next day, 3 Dane execs descend on Indian Wells. This is unacceptable, they say. It's clear to everyone that you're playing with a doctored Prince. You're going to ruin us. You're going to be liable for the destruction of our company. Your racket is going to be liable for the destruction of me. Seeing that I'm unrepentant and not budging, the Dane execs say they'll build me a better racket. They go away and duplicate a Prince, just as Nick did, but make it look more convincing. I take my faux Dane to Rome and play a kid I recognize from juniors. Pete something. Sampras, I think. Greek kid from California. When I played him in juniors, I beat him handily. I was 10, he was 9. The next time I saw him was some months ago at a tournament. I can't recall which one. I was sitting on a beautiful grassy hill beside my hotel just after winning my match. Philly and Nick were sitting alongside me. We were stretched out, enjoying the fresh air and watching Pete, who'd just taken a beating in his match. He was on the hotel court for a post-match practice, and nearly every ball he hit looked bad. He missed 3 of every 4 swings. His backhand was awkward and one-handed, which was new. Someone had tinkered with his backhand, and it was clearly going to cost him a career. "This guy will never make it on the tour," Philly said. "He'll be lucky to qualify into tournaments," I said. "Whoever did that to his game should be ashamed," Nick said. "They should be indicted," Philly said. "He has all the physical gifts. He's 6'1", moves great, but someone has turned him into a mess. Someone is responsible for that shit. Someone should pay." At first I was taken aback by Philly's vehemence. Then I realized Philly was projecting. He was seeing himself in Pete. He knew what it was like to try and fail to make it on tour, particularly with an involuntary one-handed backhand. In Pete's plight, in Pete's fate, Philly saw his own. Now in Rome, I see that Pete has improved since that day, but not much. He has a big serve, but not extraordinary, not a Becker serve. He has a fast arm, good action, an easy motion, and comes close to his spots. He wants to ace you out wide, and when he misses, it's not by much. He's not one of those players who try to ace you out wide and serve it by mistake into your chest. His real problem comes after his serve. He's inconsistent. He can't keep 3 balls in a row between the lines. I beat him 6-2, 6-1, and as I walk off the court, I think to myself that he's got a long and painful slog ahead. I feel bad for the guy. He seems like a good soul, but I don't expect to see him again on the tour, ever. I go to reach the final. I face Alberto Mancini. Strong, stocky, with tree-trunk legs, he pounds the ball with tremendous weight, penetration, and a tornado spin that causes it to hit your racket like a medicine ball. I have match point against him in the 4th set, but I lose the point, then fall apart. Somehow, I lose the match. Back in my hotel, I sit in my room for hours, watching Italian TV, setting things on fire. People, I think, don't understand the pain of losing in a final. You practice and travel and grind to get ready. You win for 1 week, 4 matches in a row. Or at a slam, 2 weeks, 6 matches. Then you lose that final match, and your name isn't on the trophy. Your name isn't in the record books. You lost only once, but you're a loser. I go to the 1989 French Open, and in the 3rd round I face Courier, my schoolmate from the Bollettieri Academy. I'm the chalk, the heavy favorite, but Courier scores the upset, then rubs my nose in it. He pumps his fist, glares at me and Nick. Moreover, in the locker room, he makes sure everyone sees him lacing up his running shoes and going for a jog. Message: beating Andre just didn't provide enough cardio. Later, when Chang wins the tournament and thanks Jesus Christ for making the ball go over the net, I feel sickened. How could Chang, of all people, have won a slam before me? Again, I skip Wimbledon. I hear another chorus of jeers from the media. Agassi doesn't win the slams he enters, and then he skips the slams that matter most. But it feels like a drop in the ocean. I'm becoming desensitized. Even though I'm a punching bag for sports writers, big companies beg me to pose with their products. In the middle of 1989, one of my corporate sponsors, Canon, schedules a series of photo shoots, including one in the wilds of Nevada in the Valley of Fire. I like the sound of that. I walk every day throughout a valley of fire. Since the ad campaign is for a camera, the director wants a colorful setting. Vivid, he says, cinematic. He builds an entire tennis court in the middle of the desert, and as I watch the workmen, I can't help thinking of my father building his tennis court in his desert. I've come a long way, or have I? For a full day, the director films me playing tennis by myself, the flame-red mountains and orange rock formations in the background. I'm weary, sunburned, ready for a break, but the director isn't done with me. He tells me to take off my shirt. I'm known for taking off my shirt in moments of teenage exuberance and throwing it in the crowds. Then he wants to film me in a cave, hitting a ball at the camera as if to shatter the lens. Then, at Lake Mead, we film several scenes against a watery backdrop. It all seems silly, goofy, but harmless. Back in Vegas, we do a series of shots on the Strip and then around a swimming pool. As luck would have it, they choose the pool at good old Cambridge Racquet Club. Finally, we set up for one last shot at a Vegas country club. The director puts me in a white suit, then has me drive up to a front portico in a white Lamborghini. Step out of the car, he says, turn to the camera, lower your black sunglasses, and say, "Image is everything." Image is everything? Yes, image is everything. Between takes, I look around, and in the crowd of spectators, I see Wendy, the former ball girl, my childhood crush, all grown up. Now she's definitely come a long way since the Alan King tournament. She's carrying a suitcase. She's just dropped out of college, and she's just come home. "You were the first person I wanted to see," she says. She looks beautiful. Her brown hair is long, curly, and her eyes are impossibly green. She's all I can think about while the director is ordering me around. As the sun goes down, the director yells, "Cut! That's a wrap!" Wendy and I jump into my new Jeep, the doors and top off, and then go roaring away like Bonnie and Clyde. Wendy says, "What was that slogan they kept making you say into the camera? Image is everything. What's that supposed to mean?" Beats me. It's for a camera company. Weeks later, I begin to hear this slogan twice a day, then 6 times a day, then 10. It reminds me of those Vegas windstorms, the kind that begin with a faint, ominous rustling of leaves and ultimately turn into high-pitched, gale-force 3-day blows. Overnight, the slogan becomes synonymous with me. Sports writers liken this slogan to my inner nature, my essential being. They say it's my philosophy, my religion, and they predict it's going to be my epitaph. They say I'm nothing but image. I have no substance because I haven't won a slam. They say the slogan is proof that I'm just a pitchman, trading on my fame, caring about only money and nothing about tennis. Fans at my matches begin taunting me with the slogan. "Come on, Andre, image is everything." They yell this if I show any emotion. They yell it if I show no emotion. They yell it when I win. They yell it when I lose. This ubiquitous slogan and the wave of hostility and criticism and sarcasm it sets off is excruciating. I feel betrayed by the advertising agency, the Canon execs, the sports writers, the fans. I feel abandoned. I feel the way I did when I arrived at the Bollettieri Academy. The ultimate indignity, however, is when people insist that I've called myself an empty image, that I've proclaimed it simply because I spoke the line in a commercial. They treat this ridiculous throwaway slogan as if it's my confession, which makes as much sense as arresting Marlon Brando for murder because of a line he uttered in The Godfather. As the ad campaign widens, as this insidious slogan creeps its way into every article about me, I change. I develop an edge, a mean streak. I stop giving interviews. I lash out at linesmen, opponents, reporters, even fans. I feel justified because the world is against me. The world is trying to screw me. I'm becoming my father. When crowds boo, when they yell, "Image is everything," I yell back. As much as you don't want me here, that's how much I don't want to be here. In Indianapolis, after a particularly bad loss and a sonorous booing, a reporter asked me what went wrong. You didn't seem like yourself today, he says with a smile that isn't a smile. Something bothering you? I'd tell him in so many words to kiss my ass. No one counsels me that you should never snap at reporters. No one bothers to explain that snapping, baring your fangs, makes reporters more rabid. Don't show them fear, but don't show them your fangs either. Even if someone were to give you this sensible advice, I don't know that I could take it. Instead, I hide. I act like a fugitive, and my accomplices in seclusion are Philly and JP. We go every night to an old coffee shop on the Strip, a place called the Pepper Mill. We drink bottomless cups of coffee and eat slabs of pie and talk and sing. JP has made the leap from pastor to composer-musician. He's moved to Orange County and rededicated his life to music. Along with Philly, we belt out our favorite songs until the other customers at the Pepper Mill turn and stare. JP is also a frustrated comedian, a devotee of Jerry Lewis, and he slips in and out of slapstick routines that leave Philly and me weak from laughter. We then try to out-slapstick JP. We dance around the waitress, crawl along the floor, and eventually the three of us are laughing so hard that we can't breathe. I laugh more than I've laughed since I was a boy, and even though it's tinged with hysteria, the laughter has healing properties. For a few hours, late at night, laughter makes me feel like the old Andre, whoever that is. Chapter 10. Not far from my father's house is the sprawling concrete campus of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which in 1989 is gaining a reputation for its sports teams. The basketball squad is a powerhouse with NBA-ready stars, and the football team is vastly improved. The Runnin' Rebels are known for their speed and superb conditioning. Plus, they're the Rebels. That's my kind of mascot. Pat says there might be someone at the UNLV who can help me get in shape when he's not in town. We drive to the campus one day and make our way to the gym, a new building I find as daunting as the Sistine Chapel. So many perfect bodies, so many full-grown men. I'm 5'11", 148 pounds, and my Nike clothes hang off me. I tell myself this was a mistake. Apart from feeling woefully undersized, I still feel edgy in a school, any kind of school. Pat, who am I kidding? I don't belong here. We're here, he says, spitting. We find the office of the school's strength coach. I tell Pat to wait. I'll go in and talk to the guy. I poke my head in the doorway, and there, across the office, in the far corner, behind a desk the size of my Corvette, I see a real-life giant. He looks like the stature of Atlas, fronting Rockefeller Center, which I saw during my first U.S. Open, except this Atlas has long black hair and black eyes as large and round as the weights neatly stacked in the gym. He looks as if he'll flatten the first person who disturbs him. I jump back through the doorway. You go, Pat. He walks in. I hear him say something. I hear a deep baritone rumble in response. It sounds like a truck engine. Then Pat calls to me. I hold my breath and again go through the doorway. Hello, I say. Hello, the giant says. My name's Andre Agassi. I play tennis, and I live here in Vegas, and I know who you are. He stands. He's 6 feet tall, with a chest at least 56 inches around. For a moment, I think he might tip the desk over in anger. Instead, he comes around from behind and extends his hand, the largest hand I've ever seen. A hand that goes with his shoulders, biceps, and legs. Also, record setters in my personal experience. Gil Reyes, he says. Nice to meet you, Mr. Reyes. Call me Gil. Okay, Gil. I know you must be very busy. I don't want to take up your time. I was just wondering, that is, Pat and I were wondering, if we could talk to you about using your facilities now and then. I'm really struggling to improve my conditioning." "Sure," he says. His voice makes me think of the bottom of the ocean and the core of the earth, but it's also a voice as soft as it is deep. He shows us around, introduces us to several student athletes. We talk about tennis, basketball, the differences, the similarities. Then the football team walks in. "Excuse me," Gil says. "I need to speak with the fellows. Make yourself at home. Use whatever machines or weights you want to use, but please be careful and be discreet. Technically speaking, it's against the rules." "Thank you." Pat and I do a few bench presses, leg lifts, sit-ups, but I'm more interested in watching Gil. The football players gather before him and gaze up at him with awe. He's like a Spanish general addressing his conquistadors. He gives them their orders. "You, take this bench. You, grab that machine. You, the squat rack." While he's speaking, no one looks away. He doesn't demand their attention. He simply compels it. Lastly, he tells them to gather round, closer, reminds them that hard work is the answer, the only answer. "Everyone bring it in, hands together. 1, 2, 3, rebels!" They break, then fan out and hit the weights. I'm reminded how much better off I'd be on a team. Pat and I go back to the gym at UNLV every day, and while doing curls and bench presses, I can feel Gil keeping tabs on us. I sense that he's noting my bad form. I sense that the other athletes are noticing too. I feel amateurish and often want to leave, but Pat always stops me. After a few weeks, Pat needs to fly back east. Family emergency. I knock at the door to Gil's office and tell him that Pat is gone, but that he left a regimen for me to follow. I hand Gil the piece of paper with Pat's regimen and ask if he might be willing to help me through it. "Sure," Gil says, but he sounds put upon. With each exercise, Gil arches an eyebrow. He looks over Pat's regimen, turns the paper in his hands, frowns. I encourage him to tell me what's on his mind, but he only frowns more deeply. He asks, "What's the point of this exercise?" I'm not sure. "Tell me again, how long have you been doing this?" "Long time." I beg him to speak his mind. "I don't want to step on anybody's toes," he says. "I don't want to speak out of turn. But I can't lie to you. If somebody can write down your routine on a piece of paper, it isn't worth the piece of paper it's written on. You're asking me to put you through a workout here that leaves no room for where you are, how you're feeling, what you need to focus on. It doesn't allow for change." That makes sense. "Could you help me? Maybe give me some tips?" "Well, look, what are your goals?" I tell him about my recent loss to Alberto Mancini from Argentina. He's out-physicaled me, pushed me around like an old-time bully at the beach, kicking sand in my face. I had the match won. I had my foot on the man's neck, but I couldn't finish him off. I was serving for the match, and Mancini broke me, then won the tie-break, then broke me 3 times in the 5th set. I had nothing left. I need to get strong so that I never let that happen again. Losing is one thing. Being outgunned is another. I can't bear that feeling anymore. Gil listens, not moving, not interrupting, soaking it all in. That fuzzy ball takes some fuzzy bounces, I tell him, and I can't control it all the time. But one thing I think maybe I can control is my body. At least I could, maybe, if I had the right information. Gil fills his 56-inch chest with air and then breathes out slowly. He says, "What's your schedule?" "I'll be gone the next 5 weeks, summer hard courts, but when I get back, I'd really consider it an honor if we could work together." "All right," Gil says. "We'll figure something out. Good luck on your road trip. I'll see you when you get back." At the 1989 U.S. Open, I play Connors again in the quarters. It's the first 5-set win of my career after 5 straight losses. Somehow, it only earns me a new wave of criticism. I should have finished Connors off in 3. Someone claims to have heard me yelling to Philly in my box, "I'm going to take him 5 sets and give him some pain." Mike Lupicha, a columnist for the New York Daily News, points to my 19 unforced errors in the 3rd set and says I carried Connors merely to prove that I was tough enough to go the distance. If they're not trashing me for losing on purpose, they're ragging me for the way I win. When I walk back into the gym, I see from Gil's face that he's been expecting me. We shake hands, the start of something. He walks me over to the weight racks and tells me that many of the exercises I've been doing are wrong, dead wrong, but the way I've been doing them is worse. I'm courting disaster. I'm going to hurt myself. He gives me a fast primer on the mechanics of the body, the physics and hydraulics and architecture of human anatomy. To know what your body wants, he says, to understand what it needs and what it doesn't, you need to be part engineer, part mathematician, part artist, part mystic. I don't fare well in lectures, but if all lectures were like Gil's, I'd still be in school. I soak up every fact, every insight, confident that I'll never forget a single word. It's amazing, Gil says, how many fallacies there are about the human body, how little we know about our own bodies. For instance, guys do incline benches for their upper pecs. It's not an efficient use of time, he says. I haven't done an incline in 30 years. Is it possible that my chest would be bigger if I did inclines? No, sir. The step-ups you're doing, the exercises where you hold a heavy weight on your back as you walk upstairs, you're asking for a catastrophic injury. You're lucky you haven't already ruined your knee. How so? It's all about angles, Andre. At one angle, you're engaging your quad. Fine, great. At another angle, you're engaging your knee, putting loads of pressure on that knee. Engage that knee too many times, it'll break off the engagement. The best exercises, he says, exploit gravity. He tells me how to use gravity and resistance to break down a muscle so it will come back stronger. He shows me how to do a proper, safe bicep curl. He walks me over to a dry erase board and diagrams my muscles, arms, joints, tendons. He talks about a bow and arrow, shows me pressure points along a bow as it's pulled taut, then uses this model to explain my back, why it hurts after matches and workouts. I tell him about my spine, my spondylolisthesis, the vertebra that's out of sync. He jots a note, says he'll look up the condition in the medical books and learn all about it from me. Bottom line, he says, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have a short career. Big-time back problems, knee problems. Plus, doing curls the way I saw you doing them, you're going to have elbow problems. While spelling it out, Gil sometimes literally spells it out. He likes to emphasize a point by spelling the key word. He likes to break words down for me, crack them open, reveal the knowledge inside, like a meat inside a nut. Calorie, for instance. He says it comes from the Latin calor, which is a measure of heat. People think calories are bad, Gil says, but calories are just measures of heat, and we need heat. With food, you feed your body's natural furnace. How can that be bad? It's when you eat, how much you eat, the choices you make. That's what makes all the difference. People think eating is bad, he says, but we need to stoke our internal fire. Yes, I think, my internal fire needs stoking. Speaking of heat, Gil mentions casually that he hates the warm weather. He can't bear it. He's unusually sensitive to high temperatures, and his idea of torture is sitting under the direct sun. He turns up the air conditioning. I make a note. I tell him about running with Pat on Rattlesnake Hill, how I feel I've hit a plateau. He asks, how much do you run every day? 5 miles. Why? I don't know. Have you ever run 5 miles in a match? No. How often in a match do you run more than 5 steps in one direction before stopping? Not very. I don't know anything about tennis, but it seems to me that by the 3rd step you'd be better thinking about stopping. Otherwise, you're going to hit the ball and keep running, which means you'll be out of position for your next shot. The trick is to throttle down, then hit, then slam on the brakes, then hustle back. The way I see it, your sport isn't about running, it's about starting and stopping. You need to focus on building the muscles necessary for starting and stopping. I laugh and tell him that might be the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say about tennis. When it's time to lock up for the night, I help Gil clean the gym, turn off the lights. We sit in my car and talk. Eventually, he notices that my teeth are chattering. Doesn't this fancy car have a heater? Yes. Why don't you turn it on? Because you said you're sensitive to heat. He stammers. He says he can't believe I remembered, and he can't bear to think I've been suffering all this time. He turns up the car heater full blast. We continue talking, and soon I notice that beads of sweat are forming on Gil's brow and upper lip. I turn off the heat and roll down the windows. We talk for another half hour until he notices that I'm starting to turn blue. He turns on the heater full blast. In this way, back and forth, we talk and demonstrate our respect for each other until the early hours of the morning. I tell Gil a little about my story, my father, the dragon, Philly, Perry. I tell him about being banished to the Bolletary Academy. Then he tells me his story. He talks about growing up outside Las Cruces, New Mexico. His people were farm workers, pecans and cotton, hard work. Wintertime, pick the pecans. Summertime, cotton. Then they moved to East L.A., and Gil grew up fast on the hard streets. It was war, he says. I got shot. Still have the bullet hole in my leg. Also, I didn't speak English, only Spanish, so I'd sit in school, self-conscious, not talking. I learned English by reading Jim Murray in the Los Angeles Times and listening to Vin Scully calling Dodger games on the radio. I had a little transistor, KABC, every night. Vin Scully was my English teacher. After mastering English, Gil decided to master the body God gave him. He says, only the strong survive, right? Well, we couldn't afford weights in our neighborhood, so we made our own. Guys who'd been in the joint showed us how. For instance, we filled coffee cans with cement, stuck them on the ends of a pole, and that's how we made a bench press. We used milk crates for the actual bench. He tells me about getting his black belt in karate. He tells me about some of his 22 professional fights, including one in which he got his jaw shattered. But I wasn't knocked out, he says proudly. When it's time to say goodnight, because the sky is growing lighter, I reluctantly shake Gil's hand and tell him I'll be back tomorrow. I know, he says. I work with Gil throughout the fall of 1989. The gains are big, and our bond is strong. 18 years older than I, Gil can tell that he's a father figure. On some level, I also sense that I'm the son he never had. He has 3 children, all daughters. It's one of the few things that go unspoken between us. Everything else gets hashed out, spelled out. Gil and his wife, Gay, have a lovely tradition. Thursday nights, everyone in the family can order whatever they want for dinner, and Gay will cook it. One daughter wants hot dogs? Fine. Another wants chocolate chip pancakes? No problem. I make a habit of stopping by Gil's house on Thursdays, eating off everyone's plates. Before long, I'm eating at Gil's every other night. When it's late, when I don't feel like driving home, I crash on his floor. Gil has another tradition. No matter how uncomfortable a person looks, if they're asleep, they can't be all that uncomfortable. You should leave them be. So he never wakes me. He just throws a light afghan over me and lets me sleep until morning. Listen, Gil says one day, we love having you here, you know that. But I have to ask, good-looking kid, wealthy kid who can be lots of places, and yet you come to my house for Thursday night hot dogs. You sleep curled on my floor. I like sleeping on floors. My back feels better. I'm not talking about the floor. I mean here. Are you sure you want to be Here? You must have better places to be. Can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be, Gil. He gives me a hug. I thought I knew what a hug was, but you've really never hugged until you've been hugged by a man with a 56-inch chest. On Christmas Eve, 1989, Gil asked if I'd like to come over to the house, celebrate the holiday with his family. Thought you'd never ask. When Gay bakes cookies while their daughters are upstairs sleeping, Gil and I sit on the living room floor putting together toys and train sets from Santa. I tell Gil that I don't know when I've felt so peaceful. You wouldn't be happier at a party with friends? I'm right where I want to be. I stop putting together the toy in my hand and fix Gil with a look. I tell him my life has never for one day belonged to me. My life has always belonged to someone else. First my father, then Nick, and always, always tennis. Even my body wasn't my own until I met Gil, who was doing the one thing fathers are supposed to do, making me stronger. So being here, Gil, with you and your family, I feel for the first time in my life that I'm where I belong. Enough said. I'll never ask again. Merry Christmas, son. Chapter 11. If I must play tennis, the loneliest sport, then I'm sure as hell going to surround myself with as many people as I can off the court. And each person will have his specific role. Perry will help with my disordered thoughts. JP will help with my troubled soul. Nick will help with the basics of my game. Philly will help with details, arrangements, and always have my back. Sports writers rip me up about my entourage. They say I travel with all these people because it feeds my ego. They say I need this many people around me because I can't be alone. They're half right. I don't like to be alone. But these people around me aren't an entourage. They're a team. I need them for company, for counsel, and for a kind of rolling education. They're my crew, but also my gurus, my blue ribbon panel. I study them and steal from them. I take an expression from Perry, a story from JP, an attitude or gesture from Nick. I learn about myself, create myself through imitation. How else could I do it? I spent my childhood in an isolation chamber, my teen years in a torture chamber. In fact, rather than make my team smaller, I want to grow it. I want to add Gil formally. I want to hire him full-time to help me with my strength and conditioning. I phone Perry at Georgetown and tell him my problem. What problem? He says. You want to work with Gil, so hire Gil. But I've got Pat, the spitting Chilean. I can't just fire the guy. I can't fire anyone. And even if I could, how could I then ask Gil to leave a high-profile, high-paying job with UNLV to work exclusively for me? Who the fuck am I? Perry tells me to have Nick reassign Pat to work with the other tennis players Nick coaches. Then, he says, sit down with Gil and put it to him. Let him decide. In January 1990, I asked Gil if he would do me the great honor of working with me, traveling with me, training me. Leave my job here at UNLV? Yes. But I don't know anything about tennis. Don't worry, I don't either. He laughs. Gil, I think I can accomplish a lot. I think I can do things. But after our short time together, I'm reasonably certain that I can only do them with your help. He doesn't need a hard sell. Yes, he says, I would like to work with you. He doesn't ask how much I'll pay him. He doesn't mention the word money. He says we're two kindred spirits embarking on a great adventure. He says he's known it almost from the day we met. He says I have a destiny. He says I'm like Lancelot. Who's that? Sir Lancelot. You know, King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table. Lancelot was Arthur's greatest knight. Did he kill dragons? Every knight kills dragons. There is only one obstacle in our path. Gil doesn't have a gym at his house. He'll need to convert his garage into a full-scale gym, which will take lots of time because he wants to build the weight machines himself. Build them? I want to weld the metal, make the ropes and pulleys with my own hands. I don't want to leave anything to chance. I won't have you injured, not on my watch. I think of my father building his ball machines and blowers and wonder if this is the one and only thing he and Gil have in common. Until Gil's gym is complete, we continue to work out at UNLV. He keeps his job, works with the Rebels basketball team through a brilliant season, culminating in a blowout win over Duke for the national title. When his duties are done, when his home gym is almost done, Gil says he's ready. Andre, now are you ready? One last time, are you sure you want to do this? Gil, I am more sure about this than I've ever been about anything I've ever done. Me too. He says he's going to drive to the college this morning and turn in his keys. Hours later, as he walks outside the college, there I am, waiting. He laughs when he sees me, and we go for cheeseburgers to celebrate new beginnings. Sometimes a workout with Gil is actually a conversation. We don't touch a single weight. We sit on the free benches and free associate. There are many ways, Gil says, of getting strong, and sometimes talking is the best way. When he's not teaching me about my body, I'm teaching him about tennis, the life on tour. I tell him how the game is organized, the circuit of minor tournaments, and the 4 majors, or Grand Slams, that all players use as yardsticks. I tell him about the tennis calendar, how we start the year on the other side of the world at the Australian Open, and then just chase the sun. Next comes clay season in Europe, which culminates in Paris with the French Open. Then comes June, grass season, and Wimbledon. I stick out my tongue and make a face. Then come the dog days, the hard court season, which concludes with the U.S. Open. Then the indoor season, Stuttgart, Paris, the World Championships. It's all very Groundhog Day. Same venues, same opponents, only the years and scores are different. And over time, the scores all run together like phone numbers. I try to tell Gil about my psyche. I start at the beginning, the central truth. He laughs. You don't actually hate tennis, he says. I do, Gil. I really do. He gets a look on his face, and I wonder if he's thinking he might have quit his job at UNLV too soon. If that's true, he says, why play? I'm not suited for anything else. I don't know how to do anything else. Tennis is the only thing I'm qualified for. Also, my father would have a fit if I did anything different. Gil scratches his ear. This is a new one on him. He's known hundreds of athletes, but he's never known one who hated athletics. He doesn't know what to say. I reassure him that there's nothing to be said. I don't understand it myself. I can only tell him how it is. I also tell Gil about the image is everything debacle. I feel somehow that he needs to know so he'll understand what he's got himself into. The whole thing still makes me angry, but now the anger has seeped down deep. Hard to talk about, hard to reach. It feels like a spoonful of acid in the pit of my stomach. Hearing about it, Gil feels angry too, but he has less trouble accessing his anger. He wants to act on it right now. He wants to punch out an advertising exec or two. He says, some slapdick on Madison Avenue puts together a silly ad campaign and gets you to say a line into a camera, and it means something about you? Millions of people think so, and say so, and write so. They took advantage of you, he says, plain and simple, not your fault. You didn't know what you were saying. You didn't know how it would be taken and twisted and misinterpreted. Our talks carry beyond the weight room. We go out for dinner. We go out for breakfast. We're on the phone 6 times a day. I call Gil late one night, and we talk for hours. As the conversation winds down, he says, do you want to come over tomorrow and get in a workout? I'd love to, but I'm in Tokyo. We've been talking for 3 hours, and you're in Tokyo? I thought you were across town. I feel guilty, man. I've been keeping you all this... He stops himself. He says, you know what? I don't feel guilty. Nah, I feel honored. You needed to talk to me, and it doesn't matter if you're in Tokyo or Timbuktu. I get it. All right, man, I get it. From the start, Gil keeps a careful record of my workouts. He buys a brown ledger and marks down every rep, every set, every exercise, every day. He records my weight, my diet, my pulse, my travel. In the margins, he draws diagrams and even pictures. He says he wants to chart my progress, compile a database he can refer to in the coming years. He's making a study of me, and he can rebuild me from the ground up. He's like Michelangelo appraising a block of marble, but he's not put off by my flaws. He's like Da Vinci getting it all down in his notebooks. I see in Gil's notebooks, in the care he takes with them, in the way he never skips a day, that I inspire him, and this inspires me. It goes without saying that Gil will travel with me to many tournaments. He needs to watch my conditioning in matches, monitor my food, make sure I'm always hydrated. But not just hydrated, Gil has a special concoction of water, carbs, salt, and electrolytes that I need to drink the night before every match. His training doesn't end on the road. If anything, it becomes more important on the road. Our first trip together, we agree, will be February 1990 in Scottsdale. I tell Gil we'll need to be there a couple of nights before the tournament starts for the hit and giggle. Hit and what? It's an exhibition with some celebrities to raise money for charity, to make corporate sponsors feel good, to entertain the fans. Sounds fun. What's more, I tell him, we're going to drive over in my new Corvette. I can't wait to show him how fast it goes. But when I pull up to Gil's house, I realize I might not have thought this all the way through. The car is very small, and Gil is very big. The car is so small that it makes Gil look twice as big. He contorts himself to fit into the passenger side, and even then he needs to tilt sideways, and even then his head touches the roof. The Corvette looks as if, at any moment, it might burst apart. Seeing Gil squished and uncomfortable, I'm motivated to go very fast. Of course, I don't need extra motivation in the Corvette. The car is supersonic. We crank the music and fly out of Vegas, across Hoover Dam, down toward the craggy Joshua Tree Forest of northwest Arizona. We decide to stop for lunch outside Kingman. The prospect of food, combined with the speed of the Corvette and the loud music and the presence of Gil, makes me mash the gas. We hit Mach 1. I see Gil make a face and twirl a finger. I look in the rearview mirror, a highway patrol car inches from my back fender. The patrolman quickly gives me a speeding ticket. Not my first, I tell Gil, who shakes his head. In Kingman, we stop at Carl's Jr. and eat an enormous lunch. We both love to eat, and we both have a secret weakness for fast food, so we fall off the nutrition wagon, ordering French fries, then ordering seconds, refilling our sodas. When I squeeze Gil back into the Corvette, I realize we're well behind schedule. We need to make up time. I floor it and zoom back onto US 95, 200 miles to Scottsdale, 2 hours of driving. 20 minutes later, Gil makes the same twirling gesture. A different patrolman this time. He takes my license and registration and asks, "Have you received a speeding ticket recently?" I look at Gil. He frowns. "Well, if you consider an hour ago recent, then yes, officer, I have. Wait right here." He walks back to his car. 1 minute later, he returns. "The judge wants you back in Kingman." "Kingman? What?" "Come with me, sir." "Come with... What about the car?" "Your friend can drive it." But, can't I just follow you?" "Sir, you are going to listen to everything I say and do everything I say, and that's why you're not going back to Kingman in handcuffs. You will sit in the back of my car, and your friend will follow us. Now, step out." I'm in the back of a police car, Gil following me in a Corvette that fits him like a whalebone corset. We're in the middle of nowhere, and I'm hearing the crazy-ass plinking banjos from Deliverance. It takes 45 minutes to reach Kingman Municipal Court. I follow the patrolman into a side door and find myself before the small, elderly judge who wears a cowboy hat and a belt buckle the size of a pie tin. The banjos are getting louder. I look around for a certificate on the wall, something to prove that this is in fact a courthouse and he's a real judge. All I see are heads of dead animals. The judge begins by rattling off a series of random questions. You're playing in Scottsdale? Yes, sir. You've played that tournament before? Yes, sir. What kind of draw do you have? Pardon? Who do you play in the first round? The judge, it turns out, is a tennis fan. Also, he's followed my career closely. He thinks I should have beaten Courier at the French Open. He has a slew of opinions about Connors, Lindell, Chang, the state of the game, the scarcity of great American players. After sharing his opinions with me liberally for 25 minutes, he asks, "Would you mind signing something for my kids?" "No problem, sir, Your Honor." I sign everything he puts before me, then await sentencing. "All right," the judge says. "I sentence you to go give 'em hell down in Scottsdale." "Sorry? I mean, Your Honor, I drove back here 30-some miles. Sure, I was going to be sent to jail or at least fined." No. I just wanted to meet you. But you'd better have your friend out there drive you to Scottsdale, because one more ticket today and I will have to keep you in Kingman until the cows come home." I walk out of the courthouse but sprint to the Corvette where Gil is waiting. I tell him the judge is a tennis buff who wanted to meet me. Gil thinks I'm lying. I beg him to please just drive us away from the courthouse. He pulls away slowly. Under normal circumstances, Gil is a cautious driver, but so unnerved is he by our run-in with Arizona law enforcement that he keeps the car in sixth gear and goes 54 miles per hour all the way to Scottsdale. Naturally, I'm late to the hit and giggle. As we roll into the parking lot of the stadium, I pull on my tennis gear. We stop at the security hut and tell the guard I'm expected. I'm one of the players. He doesn't believe me. I show him my driver's license, which I feel fortunate to still have in my possession. He waves our car through. Gil says, "Don't worry about the car. I'll take care of it. Just go." I grab my tennis bag and sprint through the parking lot. Gil tells me later that when I entered the arena, he heard the applause. The windows of the Corvette were rolled up, but he still heard the crowd. In that moment, he had a sense of what I've been trying to tell him. After the command performance for the Old West judge, after hearing the stadium greet my arrival with a frenzied roar, he understood. He confesses that until this trip, he didn't realize the life was so intense. He really didn't know what he was signing on for. I tell him that makes two of us. We have a wonderful time in Scottsdale. We learn about each other fast, the way you learn about people on the road. During one midday match, I halt play and wait for a tournament official to hurry an umbrella over to where Gil is sitting. He's in direct sunlight, perspiring fiercely. When the official hands Gil the umbrella, Gil looks confused. Then he looks down, sees me waving, understands. He flashes a 56-inch smile, and we both laugh. We go to dinner one night at the Village Inn. It's late. We're eating a combo platter of dinner and breakfast. 4 guys burst into the restaurant and sit one booth away. They talk and laugh about my hair, my clothes. "Probably gay," one says. "Definitely homo," says his buddy. Gil clears his throat, wipes his mouth with a paper napkin, tells me to enjoy the rest of my meal. He's done. "Aren't you going to eat, Gilly?" "No, man. Last thing I want during a fight is a full stomach." When I'm finished, Gil says he has some business to take care of at the next table. If anything happens, he says, I shouldn't worry. He knows the way home. He stands very slowly. He sidles on over to the 4 guys. He leans on their table. The table groans. He fans his chest in their faces and says, "You enjoy ruining people's meals? That's how you like to spend your time, huh? Gee, I'm going to have to try that myself. What are you having there? Hamburger?" He picks up the man's burger and eats half in one bite. "Needs ketchup," Gil says, his mouth full. "You know what? Now I'm thirsty. I think I'll take a sip of your soda." "Yeah, and then I think I'll spill it all over the table as I sit down. I want one of you to try to stop me." Gil takes a long sip, then slowly, almost as slowly as he drives, pours the rest of the soda over the table. Not one of the four guys moves. Gil sits down the empty glass and looks at me. "Andre, are you ready to go?" I don't win the tournament, but it doesn't matter. I'm content, happy as we start back on the road to Vegas. Before leaving town, we stop for a bite at Joe's main event. We talk about all that's happened in the last 72 hours, and we agree that this trip feels like the start of a bigger trip. In his Da Vinci notebook, Gil draws a picture of me in handcuffs. Outside, we stand in the parking lot and look at the stars. I feel such overwhelming love and gratitude for Gil. I thank him for all that he's done, and he tells me I never need to thank him again. Then he gives a speech. Gil, who learned English from newspapers and baseball games, delivers a flowing, lilting, poetic monologue right outside Joe's, and one of the great regrets of my life is that I don't have a tape recorder with me. Still, I remember it nearly word for word. "Andre, I won't ever try to change you because I've never tried to change anybody. If I could change somebody, I'd change myself, but I know I can give you structure and a blueprint to achieve what you want. There's a difference between a plow horse and a racehorse. You don't treat them the same. You hear all this talk about treating people equally, and I'm not sure equal means the same. As far as I'm concerned, you're a racehorse, and I'll always treat you accordingly. I'll be firm but fair. I lead, never push. I'm not one of those people who expresses or articulates feelings very well, but from now on, just know this. It's on, man. It is on. You know what I'm saying? We're in a fight, and you can count on me until the last man is standing. Somewhere up there is a star with your name on it. I might not be able to help you find it, but I've got pretty strong shoulders, and you can stand on my shoulders while you're looking for that star. You hear? For as long as you want, stand on my shoulders and reach, man. Reach. Chapter 12. At the 1990 French Open, I make headlines by wearing pink. It's on the front page of the sports pages, and in some cases the news pages. Agassi in the pink, specifically pink compression pants under acid-wash shorts. I tell reporters, it's not pink, it's technically hot lava. I'm astonished by how much they care. I'm astonished by how much I care that they get it right. But my feeling is, let them write about the color of my shorts rather than the flaws in my character. Gil and Philly and I don't want to deal with the press, the crowds, Paris. We don't enjoy feeling alien, getting lost, having people stare at us because we speak English. So we lock ourselves in my hotel room, turn up the air conditioning, and send out for McDonald's and Burger King. Nick, however, gets a nasty case of cabin fever. He wants to go out, see the sights. "Guys," he says, "we're in Paris. Eiffel Tower? The freaking Louvre?" "Been there, done that," Philly says. I don't want to go near the Louvre, and I don't have to. I can close my eyes and see the scary painting of the man hanging from the cliff while his father clutches at his neck and his other loved ones hung from his limbs. I tell Nick I don't want to see anything or anyone. I just want to win this fucking thing and go home. I march through the early rounds, playing well, and then run into Courier again. He wins the first set in a tie-break, but falters and gives me the second. I take the third, and then, in the fourth, he curls up and dies, 6-0. His face turns red. His face turns hot lava. I want to tell him, I hope that was enough cardio for you, but I don't. Maybe I'm maturing. Without question, I'm getting stronger. Next up is Chang, the defending champ. I play with a chip on my shoulder because I still can't believe he's won a slam before me. I envy his work ethic, admire his court discipline, but I just don't like the guy. He continues to say without compunction that Christ is on his side of the court, a blend of egotism and religion that chafes me. I beat him in 4. In the semis, I play Jonas Svensson. He has a massive serve that kicks like a mule, and he's never afraid to come to the net. He plays better on fast surfaces, however, so I feel good about catching him on the clay. Since he has a big looping forehand, I decide early that I'm going to bum rush his backhand. Again and again, I go to that vulnerable backhand, seizing a quick lead, 5-1. Svensson doesn't recover. Set, Agassi. In the second set, I grab a 4-0 lead. He breaks back to 3-4. That's as close as I let him get. To his credit, he finds a ray of confidence and wins the third set. Normally, I'd be rattled, but this year, I look to my box and see Gil. I replay his parking lot speech and win the fourth set 6-3. I'm in the final, at last. My first final at a slam. I'm facing Gomez from Ecuador, whom I just beat weeks ago. He's 30, on the verge of retiring. In fact, I thought he was retired. At last, the newspapers say, Agassi is going to realize his potential. Then catastrophe strikes. The night before the final, I'm taking a shower and I feel the hairpiece Philly bought me suddenly disintegrate in my hands. I must have used the wrong kind of conditioner. The weave is coming undone. The damn thing is falling apart. In a state of abject panic, I summon Philly to my hotel room. Fucking disaster, I tell him. My hairpiece, look. He examines it. We'll let it dry, then clip it in place, he says. With what? Bobby pins. He runs all over Paris looking for bobby pins. He can't find any. He phones me and says, what the hell kind of city is this? No bobby pins? In the hotel lobby, he bumps into Chris Everett and asks her for bobby pins. She doesn't have any. She asks why he needs them. He doesn't answer. At last, he finds a friend of our sister Rita who has a bag full of bobby pins. He helps me reconfigure the hairpiece and set it in place and keeps it there with no fewer than 20 bobby pins. Will it hold, I ask? Yeah, just don't move around a lot. We both laugh darkly. Of course, I could play without my hairpiece, but after months and months of derision, criticism, mockery, I'm too self-conscious. Image is everything? What would they say if they knew I've been wearing a hairpiece all this time? Win or lose, they wouldn't talk about my game. They would talk only about my hair. Instead of a few kids at the Bollettieri Academy laughing at me, or 12,000 Germans at Davis Cup, the whole world would be laughing. I can close my eyes and almost hear it, and I know I can't take it. Warming up before the match, I pray, not for a win, but for my hairpiece to stay on. Under normal circumstances, playing in my first final of a slam, I'd be tense. But my tenuous hairpiece has me catatonic. Whether or not it's slipping, I imagine that it's slipping. With every lunge, every leap, I picture it landing on the clay like a hawk my father shot from the sky. I can hear a gasp going up from the crowd. I can picture millions of people suddenly leaning closer to their TVs, turning to each other, and in dozens of languages and dialects saying some version of, "Did Andre Agassi's hair just fall off?" My game plan for Gomez reflects my jangled nerves, my timidity. Knowing he doesn't have young legs, knowing he'll fold in a fifth set, I plan to stretch out the match, orchestrate long rallies, grind him down. As the match begins, however, it's clear that Gomez also knows his age, and thus he's trying to speed everything up. He's playing quick, risky tennis. He wins the first set in a hurry. He loses the second set, but also in a hurry. Now I know that the longest we'll be out here is 3 hours rather than 4, which means conditioning won't play a role. This is now a shot-making match, and the kind Gomez can win. With 2 sets completed and not much time off the clock, I'm facing a guy who's going to be fresh throughout, even if we go 5. Of course, my game plan was fatally flawed from the start. Pathetic, really. It couldn't work, no matter how long the match, because you can't win the final of a slam by playing not to lose or waiting for your opponent to lose. My attempt to orchestrate long rallies merely emboldens Gomez. He's a veteran who knows this might be his last shot at a slam. The only way to beat him is to take away his belief and his desire by being aggressive. When he sees me playing conservative, orchestrating instead of dominating, it gives him heart. He wins the third set. As the fourth set begins, I realize I've made yet another miscalculation. Most players, when they tire late in a match, lose some zip on their serve. They have trouble getting up high on tired legs, but Gomez has a slingshot serve. He never gets up high on his legs. He leans into the ball. When he tires, therefore, he leans that much more, and his natural slingshot action becomes more pronounced. I've been waiting for his serve to weaken, and instead it's getting sharper. Upon winning the match, Gomez is exceedingly gracious and charming. He weeps. He waves to the cameras. He knows he'll be a national hero in his native Ecuador. I wonder what it's like in Ecuador. Maybe I'll move there. Maybe that's the only place I'll be able to hide from the shame I feel in this moment. I sit in the locker room, head bowed, imagining what the hundreds of columnists and headline writers will say, not to mention my peers. I can hear them now. Image is everything. Agassi is nothing. Mr. Hot Lava in a hot mess. Philly walks in. I see in his eyes that he doesn't just sympathize. He lives it. This was his defeat, too. He aches. Then he says the right thing, striking the right tone, and I know I'll always love him for it. Let's get the fuck out of this town. Gil pushes the big trolley with our bags through Charles de Gaulle Airport. I'm walking a step ahead. I stop to look at the arrivals and departures. Gil keeps going. The trolley has a sharp metal edge, and it pushes into my soft, exposed Achilles. I'm wearing loafers with no socks. A jet of blood spurts onto the glassy floor. Then another. The Achilles is gushing. Gil hurries to get a bandage out of his bag, but I tell him to relax, take his time. It's good, I say. It's fitting. There should be a pint of my blood from my Achilles heel on the floor before we leave Paris. I skip Wimbledon again, train hard with Gil all summer. His home garage is finished, filled with a dozen handmade machines and many other unique touches. In the window, he's mounted a massive air conditioner. On the floor, he's nailed a spongy AstroTurf. And in the corner, he's put an old pool table. We shoot 9-ball between reps and sets. Many nights we're in the gym until 4 a.m. Gil's searching for new ways to build up my mind, my confidence, along with my body. He's shaken by the French Open, as am I. One morning, before the sun comes up, he passes along some words his mother always tells him. "Qué lindo es soñar despierto," he says. How lovely it is to dream while you are awake. Dream while you're awake, Andre. Anybody can dream while they're asleep, but you need to dream all the time and say your dreams out loud and believe in them. In other words, when in the final of a slam, I must dream. I must play to win. I thank him. I give him a gift. It's a necklace with a gold pyramid, and inside the pyramid are 3 hoops. It represents the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I designed it, had a jeweler in Florida make it for me, and I have an earring that matches. He puts it around his neck, and I can tell it will be a cold day in hell before he takes it off. Gil likes to yell at me when I'm working out, but it's nothing like my father yelling. Gil yells love. If I'm trying to set a new personal best, if I'm preparing to lift more than I have ever lifted, he stands in the background and yells, "Come on, Andre, let's go, big thunder." His yelling makes my heart club against my ribs. Then, for an added dash of inspiration, he'll sometimes tell me to step aside, and he'll lift his personal best, 550 pounds. It's an awesome sight to see a man put that much iron above his chest, and it always makes me think that anything is possible. How beautiful to dream. But dreams, I tell Gil, in one of our quiet moments, are so damn tiring. He laughs. I can't promise you that you won't be tired, he says, but please know this. There's a lot of good waiting for you on the other side of tired. Get yourself tired, Andre. That's where you're going to know yourself, on the other side of tired. Under Gil's care and close supervision, I pack on 10 pounds of muscle by August 1990. We go to New York for the U.S. Open, and I feel lean and rangy and dangerous. I take out Andrei Cherkasov from the Soviet Union in an easy three-setter. I punch and scratch my way to the semis, beat Becker in 4 furious sets, and still have plenty of rocket fuel in my tank. Gil and I drive back to the hotel and watch the other men's semi to see who I'll get tomorrow, McEnroe or Sampras. It doesn't seem possible, but the kid I thought I'd never see again has reconstituted his game, and he's given McEnroe the fight of his life. Then I realize he's not giving McEnroe a fight. McEnroe is giving him a fight and losing. My opponent tomorrow, incredibly, will be Pete. The camera moves close on Pete's face, and I see that he has nothing left. Also, the commentators say his heavily taped feet are covered with blisters. Gil makes me drink Gil water until I'm ready to throw up, and then I go to bed with a smile, thinking about all the fun I'm going to have, running Pete's ass off. I'll have him sprinting from side to side, left to right, from San Francisco to Bradenton, until those blisters bleed. I think of my father's old maxim, put a blister on his brain. Calm, fit, cocksure, I sleep like a pile of Gil's dumbbells. In the morning, I feel ready to play a 10-setter. I have no hairpiece issues because I'm not wearing my hairpiece. I'm using a new, low-maintenance camouflaging system that involves a thicker headband and brightly colored highlights. There's simply no way I can lose to Pete, that hapless kid I watched with sympathy last year, that poor klutz who couldn't keep the ball in the court. Then a different Pete shows up, a Pete who doesn't ever miss. We're playing long points, demanding points, and he's flawless. He's reaching everything, hitting everything, bounding back and forth like a gazelle. He's serving bombs, flying to the net, bringing his game right to me. He's laying wood to my serve. I'm helpless. I'm angry. I'm telling myself, this is not happening. Yes, this is happening. No, this cannot be happening. Then, instead of thinking how I can win, I begin to think of how I can avoid losing. It's the same mistake I made against Gomez with the same result. When it's all over, I tell reporters that Pete gave me a good old-fashioned New York street mugging. An imperfect metaphor. Yes, I was robbed. Yes, something that belonged to me was taken away. But I can't fill out a police report, and there is no hope of justice, and everyone will blame the victim. Hours later, my eyes fly open. I'm in bed at the hotel. It was all a dream. For a splendid half-second, I believed that I must have fallen asleep on that breezy hill where Philly and Nick were laughing about Pete's ruined game. I dreamed that Pete, of all people, was beating me in the final of a slam. But no, it's real. It happened. I watched the room slowly grow lighter, and my mind and spirit grow palpably darker. Chapter 13. Ever since Wendy came to watch me film the Image is Everything commercial, she and I have been a couple. She travels with me, takes care of me. We're a perfect match because we grew up together, and we figure we can keep growing up together. We come from the same place, want the same things. We love each other madly, though we agree that ours should be an open relationship, her word. She says we're too young to make a commitment, too confused. She doesn't know who she is. She grew up Mormon, then decided she didn't believe the tenets of that religion. She went to college, then discovered that it was the completely wrong college for her. Until she knows who she is, she says, she can't give herself to me completely. In 1991, we're in Atlanta with Gil, celebrating my 21st birthday. We're in a bar, a seedy old place in Buckhead, with cigarette-scorched pool tables and plastic beer mugs. The three of us are laughing, drinking, and even Gil, who never touches the stuff, is letting himself get tipsy. To record this night for posterity, Wendy has brought her camcorder. She hands it to me and tells me to film her shooting baskets at one of those tinted arcade games. She's going to school me, she says. I film her shooting for 3 seconds and then let the camera pan slowly down her body. Andre, she says, please get the camera off my ass. In comes a mob of loudmouths. Roughly my age, they look like a local football or rugby team. They make several rude remarks about me, then focus their attention on Wendy. They're drunk, crude, trying to embarrass me in front of her. I think of Nastasi doing the same thing 14 years ago. The rugby team slaps a stack of quarters on the edge of our pool table. One of them says, "We got next." They walk off, smirking. Gil puts down his plastic mug, picks up the quarters, and walks slowly to a vending machine. He buys a bag of peanuts and comes back to the table. Slowly, he works his way through the peanuts, never taking his eyes off the rugby players until they wisely decide to try another bar. Wendy giggles and suggests that, in addition to his many functions and duties, Gil should be my bodyguard. He already is, I tell her, and yet that word doesn't cut it. That word isn't adequate to what he is. Gil guards my body, my head, my game, my heart, my girlfriend. He's the one immovable object in my life. He's my lifeguard. I particularly enjoy when people, reporters, fans, kooks, ask Gil if he's my bodyguard. A smile always plays across his lips as he says, "Touch him and find out." At the 1991 French Open, I batter my way through 6 rounds and reach the final. My 3rd slam final. I'm facing Courier, and I'm favored. Everyone says I'll beat him. I say I'll beat him. I need to beat him. I can't imagine what it would feel like to make 3 slam finals in a row and not win. The good news is I know how to beat Courier. I beat him just last year at this same tournament. The bad news is it's personal, which makes me tight. We began in the same place, in the same barracks at the Bolletary Academy, our bunk beds a few feet apart. I was so much better than Courier, so much more favored by Nick, that losing to him in the final of a slam will feel like the hare losing to the tortoise. Bad enough that Chang has won a slam before me, and Pete, but Courier too? I can't let that happen. I come out playing to win. I've learned from my mistakes at the last 2 slams. I cruise through the first set, winning 6-3, and in the second set, leading 3-1. I have break point. If I win this point, I'll have a chokehold on the set and match. Suddenly, the rain starts to fall. Fans cover themselves and run for shelter. Courier and I retreat to the locker room, where we both pace like caged lions. Nick comes in, and I look to him for advice, encouragement, but he says nothing. Nothing. I've known for some time that I continue with Nick out of habit and loyalty, and not for any real coaching. Still, in this moment, it's not coaching I need, but a show of humanity, which is one of the duties of any coach. I need some recognition of the adrenaline-charged moment in which I find myself. Is that too much to ask? After the rain delay, Courier stations himself farther behind the baseline, hoping to take some of the steam off my shots. He's had time to rest and reflect and recharge, and he storms back to keep me from breaking. Then wins the second set. Now I'm angry, furious. I win the 3rd set, 6-2. I establish in Courier's mind, in my own, that the second set was a fluke. Up 2-1, I can feel the finish line pulling me. My first slam, 6 little games away. As the 4th set opens, I lose 12 of the first 13 points. Am I unraveling, or is Courier playing better? I don't know. I'll never know. But I do know that this feeling is familiar, hauntingly familiar. This sense of inevitability, this weightlessness as momentum slips away. Courier wins the set 6-1. In the 5th set, tied 4-all, he breaks me. Now, all at once, I just want to lose. I can't explain it any other way. In the 4th set, I lost the will, but now I've lost the desire. As certain as I felt about victory at the start of this match, that's how certain I am now of defeat. And I want it. I long for it. I say under my breath, let it be fast, Since losing is death, I'd rather it be fast than slow. I no longer hear the crowd. I no longer hear my own thoughts, only a white noise between my ears. I can't hear or feel anything except my desire to lose. I drop the 10th and decisive game of the 5th set and congratulate Courier. Friends tell me it's the most desolate look they've ever seen on my face. Afterward, I don't scold myself. I coolly explain it to myself this way. You don't have what it takes to get over the line. You just quit on yourself. You need to quit this game. The loss leaves a scar. Wendy says she can almost see it, a mark as if I've been struck by lightning. That's about all she says on the long flight back to Vegas. As we walk through the front door of my parents' house, my father meets us in the foyer. He starts right in on me. Why didn't you make adjustments after the rain delay? Why didn't you hit to his backhand? I don't answer. I don't move. I've been expecting his tirade for the last 24 hours, and I'm already numb to it. But Wendy isn't. She does something no one's ever done, something I always hoped my mother would do. She throws herself between us. She says, "Can we just not talk about tennis for 2 hours? 2 hours. No tennis?" My father stops, gapes. I fear that he'll slap her. But then he wheels and storms up the hall to his bedroom. I gaze at Wendy. I've never loved her more. I don't touch my rackets. I don't open my tennis bag. I don't train with Gil. I lie around watching horror movies with Wendy. Only horror movies can distract me because they capture something of the feeling of the 5th set against Courier. Nick nags me to play Wimbledon. I laugh in his tanned face. Back on the horse, he says, "It's the only way, my boy." Fuck that horse. Come on, Wendy says. Honestly, how much worse can it get? Too depressed to argue, I let Nick and Wendy push me onto a plane to London. We rent a beautiful 2-story house hidden from the main road, close to the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. It has a charming garden in the back with pink roses and every variety of songbird, a little haven where I can sit and nearly forget why I'm in England. Wendy makes the house feel like home. She fills it with candles, groceries, and her perfume. She fixes delicious meals at night, and in the morning she packs box lunches for me to bring to the practice courts. The tournament is delayed 5 days by rain. On the 5th day, though, the house is cozy. We're going stir-crazy. I want to get out on the court. I want to get rid of the bad taste in my mouth from the French Open, or else lose and go home. Finally, the rain lets up. I play Grant Connell, a serve and volleyer who's made his living off fast services. It's an awkward first-round opponent for my first grass match in years. He's expected to trounce me. Somehow I eke out a 5-set win. I reach the quarters, where I play David Wheaton. I'm up 2-1, up 2 breaks in the 4th set, and all of a sudden I pull something in my hip flexor, the muscle that bends the joint. Hobbled, it's all I can do to finish the match. Wheaton wins easily. I tell Wendy that I could have won the thing. I started to feel better than I'd felt at the French Open. Damned hip. The good news, I suppose, is that I wanted to win. Maybe I've got my desire turned around and pointed in the right direction. I'm a fast healer. After a few days, my hip is fine. My mind, however, continues to throb. I go to the U.S. Open and lose in the first round. The first round. But the scary part is the way I lose. I play Krickstein, good old Krickstein, and again, I just don't want it. I know I can beat him, and yet it's not worth the trouble. I don't expend the necessary energy. I feel a strange clarity about my lack of effort. It's lack of inspiration, plain and simple. I don't question it. I don't bother wishing it away. While Krickstein is running and leaping and lunging, I'm watching him with only mild interest. Only afterward does the shame set in. I need to do something radical, something to break the seductive grip that losing seems to have on me. I decide to move out on my own. I buy myself a 3-bedroom tract home in southwest Vegas and turn it into the ultimate bachelor pad, almost a parody of a bachelor pad. I make 1 bedroom an arcade with all the classic games: Asteroids, Space Invaders, Defender. I'm terrible at them, but I intend to get better. I turn the formal living room into a movie theater with state-of-the-art sound equipment and woofers in the couches. I turn the dining room into a billiard room. Throughout the house, I scattered fantastically plush leather chairs, except in the main living room, where I install a massive modular green chenille double-stuffed goose-down couch. In the kitchen, I place a soda machine stocked with Mountain Dew, my favorite, and beer taps. Out back, I install a hot tub and a black-bottomed lagoon. Best of all, I make the bedroom a cave, everything jet black, with blackout curtains that don't admit the tiniest slit of daylight. It's the house of an arrested adolescent, a boy man determined to shut out the world. I walk around this new house, this deluxe playpen, daring to think how grown up I am. I skipped the Australian Open again at the start of 1992. I've never played it, and now doesn't seem like the time to start. Still, I play Davis Cup and do fairly well, maybe because it's in Hawaii. We face Argentina. I win both my matches. Then, the night before the last day, Wendy and I go out drinking with McEnroe and his wife, Tatum O'Neal. We overdo it, and I go to bed at 4 a.m, assuming someone will take my place on Sunday in a meaningless match, often called a dead rubber. Apparently that's not the case. Though I'm hungover and dehydrated, I need to go out and play Jite, whose serve I once caught with my hand. Happily, Jite's hungover too. It's fitting that this is a dead rubber. We both look dead and rubbery. To conceal my bloodshot eyes, I play wearing Oakley sunglasses, and somehow I play well. I play relaxed. I walk off the court a winner, wondering if there's a lesson in this. Can I tap this sort of relaxation when the stakes are real, when it's a slam? Should I just go into every match hungover? The next week, I find myself on the cover of Tennis Magazine, hitting a winner in my Oakley glasses. Hours after the magazine hits the newsstands, Wendy and I are at the bachelor pad when a delivery truck pulls up to the door. We go outside. "Sign here," the delivery man says. "What is this?" "Gift. From Jim Johnard, founder of Oakley." The back of the truck comes down, and a red Dodge Viper slowly descends. Nice to know that even if I've lost my game, I can still move product. My ranking plummets. I fall out of the top 10. The only time I feel fairly competent on the court is when I play Davis Cup. In Fort Myers, I helped the U.S. beat Czechoslovakia, winning both matches. Otherwise, the only game at which I show any improvement is Asteroids. At the 1992 French Open, I beat Pete, which feels good. Then I run into Courier again, this time in the semis. The memories of last year are still fresh, still painful, and I lose again, in straight sets. Once again, Courier laces up his running shoes and goes for a jog afterward. I still can't burn enough calories for him. I limp to Florida and crash at Nick's house. I don't pick up a racket the whole time I'm there. Then, reluctantly, I have one short practice on a hard court at the Bollettieri Academy, and we all fly to Wimbledon. The talent assembled in London in 1992 is stunning. There's Courier, ranked number 1, fresh off 2 slam victories. There's Pete, who keeps getting better. There's Stefan Edberg, who's playing out of his mind. I'm the 12th seed, and the way I've been playing, I should be seeded lower. In my first-round match against Andrei Chesnikov from Russia, I play like a low seed. I lose the first set. Frustrated, I rip into myself, curse myself, and the umpire gives me an official warning for saying fuck. I almost turn to him and fire a few fucks. Instead, I decide to shock him, shock everyone, by taking a breath and being composed. Then I do something more shocking. I win the next 3 sets. I'm in the quarters against Becker, who's reached 6 of the last 7 Wimbledon finals. This is his de facto home court, his honey hole. But I've been seeing his serve well lately. I win in 5 sets, played over 2 days. Memories of Munich put to rest. In the semis, I face McEnroe, 3-time Wimbledon champion. He's 33, nearing the end of his career, and unseeded. Given his underdog status and his legendary accomplishments, the fans want him to win, of course. Part of me wants him to win also, but I beat him in 3 sets. I'm in the final. I'm expecting to face Pete, but he loses his semifinal match to Goran Ivanisevic, a big, strong serving machine from Croatia. I've played Ivanisevic twice before, and both times he shell-shocked me in straight sets. So I feel for Pete, and I know I'll be joining him soon. I have no chance against Ivanisevic. It's a middleweight versus a heavyweight. The only suspense is whether it will be a knockout or a TKO. As powerful as Ivanisevic's serve is under normal circumstances, today it's a work of art. He's acing me left and right, monster serves that the speed gun clocks at 138 miles an hour. But it's not just the speed, it's the trajectory. They land at a 75-degree angle. I try not to care. I tell myself that aces happen. Each time he serves a ball past me, I say under my breath that he can't do that every time. Just walk to the other side and get ready, Andre. The match will be decided on those few second serves. He wins the first set, 7-6. I don't break him once. I concentrate on not overreacting, on breathing in, breathing out, remaining patient. When the thought crosses my mind that I'm on the verge of losing my 4th slam final, I casually set that thought aside. In the second set, Ivanisevic gives me a few freebies, makes a few mistakes, and I break him. I take the second set, then the third, which makes me feel almost worse because, once again, I'm a set away from a slam. Ivanisevic rises up in the 4th set and destroys me. I've made the Croat mad. He loses only a handful of points in the process. Here we go again. I can see tomorrow's headlines as plain as the racket in my hand. As the 5th set begins, I run in place to get the blood flowing and tell myself one thing. You want this. You do not want to lose, not this time. The problem in the last 3 slams was that you didn't want them enough, and therefore you didn't bring it. But this one you want, so this time you need to let Ivanisevic and everyone else in this joint know you want it. At 3-3, I'm serving, break point. I haven't been able to make a first serve this entire set, but now, mercifully, I make one. He returns it to the center of the court. I hit it to his backhand. He hits a chip lob. I have to back up 2 steps. The overhead is one of the easiest shots you can play. It's also the epitome of my struggles at slams because it's too easy. I don't like things too easy. It's there for the taking. Will I take it? I swing, hit a textbook overhead, and win the point. I go on to hold serve. Now Ivanisevic is serving at 4-5. He double faults. Twice. He's down love 30. He's cracking under the strain. I haven't broken this guy in the last hour and a half, and now he's breaking himself. He misses another first serve. He's coming apart. I know it. I see it. No one knows better than I what coming apart looks like. I also know how it feels. I know precisely what's happening inside Ivanisevic's body. His throat is closing. His legs are quivering. But then he quiets his body and hits a second serve to the back of the box, a beam of yellow light that barely nicks the line. A puff of chalk shoots up as if he hit the line with an assault rifle. Then he hits another unreturnable serve. Suddenly, it's 30-all. He misses another first serve, makes the second. I crush a return. He hits a half volley. I run in and pass him and start the long walk back to the baseline. I tell myself, you can win this thing with one swing. One swing. You've never been this close. You may never be again. And that's the problem. What if I get this close and don't win? The ridicule, the condemnation. I pause, try to shift my focus back to Ivanisevic. I need to guess which way he's coming with his serve. Okay, a typical lefty serving to the ad court in a pressure point hits a bending slider out wide that sweeps his opponent off the court. But Ivanisevic isn't typical. His serve in a pressure point is generally a flat bomb up the middle. Why he prefers that serve, God knows. Maybe he shouldn't, but he does. I know this about him. I know he's coming up the middle. Sure enough, here he comes, but he nets the serve. Good thing, because that thing was a comet, right on the line. Even though I guessed right, moved right, I couldn't have put my racket on it. Now the crowd rises. I called time to have a talk with myself aloud, saying, "Win this point or I'll never let you hear the end of it, Andre. Don't hope he double faults. Don't hope he misses. You control what you can control. Return this serve with all your strength, and if you return it hard but miss, you can live with that. You can survive that. One return, no regrets. Hit harder." He tosses the ball, serves to my backhand. I jump in the air, swing with all my strength, but I'm so tight that the ball to his backhand side has mediocre pace. Somehow he misses the easy volley. His ball smacks the net, and just like that, after 22 years and 22 million swings of a tennis racket, I'm the 1992 Wimbledon champion. I fall to my knees. I fall on my stomach. I can't believe the emotion pouring out of me. When I stagger to my feet, Ivanisevic appears at my side. He hugs me and says warmly, "Congratulations, Wimbledon champ. You deserved it today." "Great fight, Goran." He plats my shoulder. He smiles, walks to his chair, and wraps his head in a towel. I understand his emotions better than my own. Much of my heart is with him as I sit in my chair trying to collect myself. A very British man approaches and tells me to stand. He hands me a large gold loving cup. I don't know how to hold it or where to go with it. He points and tells me to walk in a circle around the court. "Hold the trophy over your head," he says. I walk around the court holding the trophy above my head. The fans cheer. Another man tries to take the trophy from me. I pull it back. He explains that he's going to have it engraved with my name. I look at my box, wave to Nick and Wendy and Philly. They are all clapping, beaming. Philly is hugging Nick. Nick is hugging Wendy. "I love you, Wendy." I bow to the royals and walk off the court. In the locker room, I stare at my warped reflection in the trophy. I address the trophy in the warped reflection. "All the pain and suffering you've caused me. I'm unnerved by how giddy I feel. It shouldn't matter this much. It shouldn't feel this good. Waves of emotion continue to wash over me, relief and elation, and even a kind of hysterical serenity, because I finally earned a brief respite from the critics, especially the internal ones. Later in the afternoon, back at the house we've rented, I phoned Gil, who couldn't make the trip because he needed to be home with his family after the long clay season. He wishes so much that he could have been there. He discusses the match with me, the ins and outs. It's shocking how much he's learned about tennis in such a short time. I phoned Perry and JP, and then, trembling, I dial my father in Vegas. "Pops, it's me. Can you hear me? What'd you think?" Silence. "Pops? You had no business losing that fourth set." Stunned, I wait, not trusting my voice. Then I say, "Good thing I won the fifth set, though, right?" He says nothing. Not because he disagrees or disapproves, but because he's crying. Faintly I hear my father sniffling and wiping away tears, and I know he's proud, just incapable of expressing it. I can't fault the man for not knowing how to say what's in his heart. It's the family curse. The night of the final is the famed Wimbledon ball. I've heard about it for years, and I'm dying to go because the men's winner gets to dance with the women's winner. And this year, as in most years, that means Steffi Graf. I've had a crush on Steffi since I first saw her doing an interview on French TV. I was thunderstruck, dazzled by her understated grace, her effortless beauty. She looked somehow as if she smelled good. Also, as if she was good, fundamentally, essentially, inherently good, brimming with moral rectitude and a kind of dignity that doesn't exist anymore. I thought I saw, for half a second, a halo above her head. I tried to get a message to her after last year's French Open, but she didn't respond. Now I can't wait to twirl her across a dance floor, never mind that I don't know how to dance. Wendy knows about my feelings for Steffi, and she's not at all jealous. We have an open relationship, she reminds me. We're both over 21. In fact, on the eve of the final, we both go to Harrods to buy my tuxedo in case I need it, and Wendy jokes with the salesgirl that I only want to win so that I can dance with Steffi Graf. And so, wearing black tie for the first time ever, with Wendy on my arm, I walk smartly into the ball. We're instantly set upon by silver-haired British couples. The men have hair in their ears, and the women smell like old liqueur. They seem delighted by my win, but mainly because it means fresh blood in the club. Someone new to talk to at these dreadful, dreadful affairs, someone says. Wendy and I stand with our backs to each other like scuba divers in a school of sharks. I struggle to decipher some of the thicker British accents. I try to make clear to one older woman who looks like Benny Hill that I'm quite excited about the traditional dance with the women's champion. Sadly, the woman says, that dance isn't happening this year. Say what? The players haven't embraced the dance quite so enthusiastically in years past, so it's been canceled. She sees my face fall. Wendy turns, sees it too, and laughs. I don't get to dance with Steffi, but there will be a kind of consolation match, a formal introduction. I look forward to it all night. Then it happens. Shaking her hand, I tell Steffi that I tried to reach her at last year's French Open, and I hope she didn't misunderstand my intentions. I say, I'd really love to talk with you sometime. She doesn't respond. She merely smiles, an enigmatic smile, and I can't tell if she's happy about what I've just said or nervous.